Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, welcome. When you get back into more Amber and Reed drama, well, kind of. This is actually a little bit different. Typically with a reaction video, I will react to a Foodie or Amber video, but we're going to be talking about the Dakota situation. So hopefully you guys don't mind the video too much. I don't really typically do these type of things. It's very new to me, and the subject is very serious. So we're going to be starting off with Beck's post, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty stuff afterwards. My next video will be up in a couple of days. I have already recorded it and I am trying to finish editing it as quickly as possible, but all of the newest Kiwi Farm leaks came out and I've been a mess. I feel like this all needs to be addressed now and on its own, but a whole video on my channel about something I didn't do myself and about someone who isn't a public figure doesn't feel right. I decided that because the video that is coming out soon is all about my past and taking responsibility for my past actions, it didn't make sense to put it in there either, so I'm going to talk about this here. Me personally, I have spoken in the past that I don't like talking about people who aren't public figures. That being said, when you insert yourself into Gurl world, then you don't really have the right to privacy anymore. And that sounds bad, but it is the truth. You actively know what you're getting yourself into, and then by putting yourself on the internet, which Dakota did, you are no longer a private figure, and their actions alone is enough to have them exposed for what they are doing. Like, it doesn't matter if they're private or they're public, it's still a vile act in which they were committing. I also want to quickly mention that some reaction channels don't want to talk about the Dakota situation, and I can understand both sides of it, because some reaction channels are saying, well, she's either not a public figure, or I don't want to speak about this because it's too dark or too heavy. Like, this is not where I want to go with my channel. That's perfectly fine, and that's ultimately their decision to do, but I do understand some people in Gurl world who aren't reactors but are just viewers saying, okay, but you talk about when Amber is being creepy towards minors, but then you don't want to talk about someone else who inserted themselves in Gurl world who is acting the same way. And I feel like that is both true, like both sides are true, because they have the right to talk about what they want to talk about, but at the same time, you can't hold Amber to a standard that you're not willing to hold everyone else in Gurl world to. And it is kind of the same way for me too. Like, I don't really want to talk about this situation, but I know that I've held Amber to a certain standard with how she acts towards children. And if I see this and I just ignore it, then what kind of integrity do I have as a person? I want to say first that my now ex-partner and I are currently separating. Some of you may not believe me, some of you may think she is an unredeemable person. I have seen for myself what she has said and posted in the past. It was wrong. There is nothing else I can say. Interacting with minors in any inappropriate way is wrong, whether it had to do with fandoms or post trends or anything. It doesn't matter, it is inexcusable. I don't want anyone to think that I won't condone these things. Now, with how the second part is phrased, it's kind of left open to interpretation of whether or not Beck knew from the very beginning, or Beck found out along with everyone else. Beck didn't specifically state a time in which they found out, and it's kind of left a lot of people divided on whether or not Beck knew from the very beginning, or whether or not Beck found out along with us. I think it's more so the second one, but it's really just an opinion on how I perceive who Beck is as a person. While I don't agree with what she did, I don't think she is a danger or a predator. I can't say that. I have gotten to know her and her past very intimately, and I believe she is not a harmful person. She truly was open with me about everything and is accepting me and my own baggage. But still, even she was horrified by her own resurfaced accounts and posts on Tumblr from 10 years ago. I can't and don't want to defend her past actions, and she doesn't want me to do that either. This is the part where Beck loses me, because I don't agree with what they said, like just flat out. You cannot say that they are not a predator, because they are in fact a predator. They preyed upon children, they use their innocence and their vulnerability to get something out of them. And you can say that they may not be a danger physically, but that doesn't mean they're not a danger mentally and emotionally. And you should know this as well, Beck, because even though Amber did not physically harm you, they are a danger to you because they did emotional and mental trauma to you. That could be the same thing for these children as well. Like, you can't say that they are not a danger, because physical danger is not the only type of danger that children can, deal with when being preyed on by a predator. Beck goes on to say that Dakota was open and told them about everything. Now, I don't think this means about the situation, but more so they were an open book, that it was something that Dakota could really talk about their entire past if Beck asked them about it. Now, this is left open for interpretation, and I think that's more so the idea that Beck was hinting at, and not that Beck knew from the very beginning about the whole situation unfolding. And with the last part, Beck goes on to say that Dakota was horrified about the resurfaced accounts and the post on Tumblr from 10 years ago. Now, that's not because of what she did, that was because she's now being exposed for it, because now people know who she really is as a person, a predator. We talked and went through everything and decided together it would be best to separate because neither of us see a way forward from this for multiple reasons. She is ashamed and I am confused and hurt even though I still love her. But regardless of how I feel, I want to say this. It is terrifying being under the eyes of hundreds of thousands of people. Every action you have made in your past can and will come back, no matter the intention, the reason, the cause, or the change. And I do believe that others holding people accountable is very important, but there is a fine line between accusation and persecution. I can understand wanting to have compassion for someone you loved, but at the same time, asking for compassion for someone who was preying upon children is not something that people will give. We as a society should never have compassion for people like this. Now, I'm not saying we should ever do something permanently to someone like this, or people should take matters into their own hand, but it is certainly something that we should not give compassion to. And as for the intent, I'm pretty sure we all are fully aware of what the intent was. She is not a public figure and cannot explain herself, and like I said, she doesn't want me or anyone to defend her post because she believes now that what she did then was not okay. But please refrain from going after her and her family and sharing private information and harassing her. Having a public social media account and being a public figure / curator is not the same thing, but I wanted you all to know that we are not together anymore and I won't be defending her past. You won't hear from me or about her again, but still don't want any harm to come to her. Now, anyone who has been a watcher of mine long enough would know that I don't support threats, harassments, or doxing, any of that type of stuff, like especially people who are not public figures or people who are related to the person that is being criticized. Like, there is a difference between criticism and flat out harassment. Like, please do not do the second thing. I am adult enough to realize though that she is going to get a massive amount of hate for what she has done. And this might sound a little bit, callous of me. The hate that you're going to endure is a consequence from your own actions. And even though I don't agree with it, I'm not going to be empathetic towards you because children have always been off limits and it is something that is taboo, or at least it should be taboo around the world. I will be taking a break after my next upload. I need time to restart my life again to process and understand everything that happened. I don't know how long I'll be gone, but I need time to clear my head before I do or say anything else. I also don't know what the fallout of my own video trying to take accountability will look like for me. I just know that in the past myself and my family have also been hurt from things that have been dug up or misunderstood or spread around about us for years, and I understand the pain too. But I also understand all of your concerns at the same time. I only ask that you please try to think and act with empathy rather than rage. That is all. Thank you, and I hope you all understand. Alright guys, that is the end of the post. I understand and agree that Beck is going to be taking a break and it's something they should be doing. I can understand again wanting to have compassion for someone that you love, but at the same time, people are not going to have compassion for this person. I don't agree with the threats of the harassment, but I understand that it is going to happen and I'm not really going to have compassion for Dakota because it's just going to be a situation of accepting your consequences. Now, I do hope that Dakota doesn't do anything permanent to themselves, but I do hope that they do get serious help because no person should ever look at a child and think that is appropriate to act in that manner towards them. With Beck's post out of the way, we will be getting into the situation of what Dakota was doing, and I will be showing some evidence, but I will be blurring the photos of the children and stuff like that. Even if they are adults now, I still just don't feel comfortable with showing them. They were children at that time, and they should never have been exploited in that way. So for the past couple of days, I have been going through Reddit and Kiwi Farms, and I didn't really find anything up until today. And I have found just a lot of just information about their Tumblr account, as well as like a fandom account they also had that categorized certain content, adult content. Now I'm going to be focusing more on the cuddle applications and the Tumblr posts they were making, because that is the stuff that people are really focusing on, and that's more the stuff directly tied to the allegations that Dakota has been accused of. Even though Dakota has allegedly admitted these things, I do have a photo of Dakota along with Dave Strutter, which is the Tumblr account in which the things were happening on. So this is a little bit of evidence to prove this in fact is Dakota. And on this account, Dakota would have what was known as cuddle applications, which were essentially a form that her audience, primarily 13 to 14-year-olds, would fill out and give back to her. This included names, numbers, addresses, whether they liked kissing or not, you know, all these different things that essentially were not appropriate for children. It also included photos, which I will be censoring out, so you guys won't be seeing any of that. But just very disturbing stuff for someone who's in their 20s to be asking of 13 and 14-year-olds. She would also do the exact same thing Onision used to do, which would ask her followers, again primarily children, in order to submit photos of themselves for her to critique and rate. And when people showed concern for both the cuddle applications as well as the photos, she would essentially push it off. And these are not the only things too. She would also have a blog where she would write and draw certain fanfictions about characters who were 13 to 14-year-olds as well, that had certain kinks. And she would ask her followers, again primarily children, about kinks that she could write about or draw about. Allegedly, from what I have seen, there is a lot more that's either been removed or deleted, privated, or just maybe elsewhere that I haven't found yet. But this is really the only evidence that I do have, which this stuff in itself is enough to say, like, she's irredeemable in my eyes. Like, there is no coming back from this. And to think there's even more, like, just a sick individual. But I am going to leave the video here. Thank you for watching. I'm not even going to ask you whether you guys like this or not, because nobody's going to like this video, but hopefully I could see you lovely people in the next one. Bye bye.